Don't look at me like that.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're not. You needed somebody to suffer with you.
I
As
did.
I go stomping around your house, cussing at things.
To be fair, though, you said give me a gnarly one. I went, oh, I got one for you.
Ha, well, guess what? Bit you in the ass too, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I've been in this hell for over a month now. I want out.
Whoa, can't blame you. Okay, I got the volume back up again. Holy crappers. Okay.
So we're just gonna go right into this time. So while we understand that some of our individuals listen for the entertainment aspect of true crime, it's important to remember that these are real individuals with families and friends who may still be suffering from their loss. These stories are not meant to open old wounds or cause further emotional damage to those involved. We remind you, please be respectful, do not dox or contact individuals involved with cases. The case discussed on this podcast today may be extremely disturbing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Just days before Maria Parker's murder, there was another troubled woman that had arrived in the area of Truth or Consequences in Elephant Butte to start a new life. One Cynthia Lee Hindy.
Oh, I know that
Cindy.
name.
So, like many other women before her, she had a troubled upbringing. Her father was frequently away from home as a U.S. Navy member, and her mother was the local state beauty queen who was regularly engaged in pageants around the area. Cindy would later tell a judge that she was a victim of sexual, physical, and mental abuse at a young age, and it scarred her forever. That she had developed an alcohol and drug dependency into her early teens and ultimately dropped out of school in the 8th grade. She disappeared for days and partied with her friends all over Seattle, Washington. She became pregnant around the age of 16 years old and gave birth to a baby she named Shane, who was raised by her grandparents, and in the years to follow, she would have 2 more children, Muffy and Heather. Now, Cynthia's dysfunctional childhood did little to prepare her for adult relationships, and she usually turned to drinking and drugs to avoid her reality, as she attracted men who were usually abusive in more ways than one. So, there's actually court papers that show at least 3 former husbands to Cindy had been arrested and charged for assaulting her.
Knowing her, I still don't feel bad.
Friends remember Cindy as having a Jekyll and Hyde personality, where when she was sober, she was kind, considerate, loved reading romance novels and watching soap operas. However, when she started drinking and using drugs, she was obnoxious, foul-mouthed, and aggressive, picking fights with mere strangers at the bar or on the side of the street.
Good times.
Her first arrest was in 1979 for forgery and possession of a stolen property. And soon she was racking up felony convictions involving alcohol, substance abuse, and theft.
Oh, what a shining example.
By the early 1990s, Cindy was officially classified as mentally disabled and began living off of Social Security payments, so welfare. And was still regularly being arrested and a name within the court systems for drug charges, domestic violence charges, and other things going on in her life.
Outstanding.
In the summer of 1997, Cindy was on the run from authorities in Washington state for disobeying a court-order rehab treatment plan, and she was facing a lengthy jail sentence if caught. She fled the state with a boyfriend at the time whose father lived in Truth or Consequences. On her own, Cindy would be a regular scene at local bars, establish a reputation for being a hardcore partier, and being known as extreme even by the standards of Truth or Consequences.
That's saying a lot because this town is a whole lot of fucked up.
So she would regularly boast about being an ex-con and compare arrest records with strangers at the bar. People noted that Cindy had some serious mental problems, which came with a strange sexual behaviors that she regularly flaunted. And those were things like S&M, and what would be considered strange in this time, lesbianism, but it's not, and nymphomania.
Yeah, but, that's just right up his alley.
Now, in summer of 1998, after things had calmed down surrounding Marie Parker's disappearance, Roy and Jesse had fled the state, but they were returning back to Truth or Consequences. And it didn't take long for the two to meet Cindy. And they all became romantically involved in a three-way relationship using David's trailer
sweet.
as a love nest.
Which trailer? His house? Or
His house.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if they were out in the toy box, I was like, I bet you that didn't go over well with him.
So, in early January of 1999, Jesse went back to Galveston, Texas, which is where they were hiding out at, and stayed with relatives. And David invited Cindy to move into 513 Bass Road trailer with him.
Well, of course. They're going to be one big happy family.
Now, it's not clear if there was another woman living with David at the time. However, he may have been romantically involved with this woman named Mila.
Okay.
Now, people at the time noted that there was this jealous power trip going on between Mila and Cindy regarding who got David. Nevertheless, it was only a matter of time before Cindy triumphed over her rival.
Gee, let me guess how.
One of Cindy's friends was helping her move her things into David's place when Cindy confided that, I finally met the man I want to spend the rest of my life with. She later confided in this friend again that when Jesse returned to Truth or Consequences, that she'd grown very jealous of her.
Okay, Jesse's jealous of Cindy. That's just sick to the third power. Oh, gross. Anyways.
So Cindy's living with David, and Cindy also wants her 12-year-old daughter, Muffy, to come live with them.
No, Muffy, no!
So
run away, Muffy.
The young girl took a bus from Washington State to Elephant Butte for a prolonged trip to see how things would go. It was only a couple days before she phoned her grandmother begging to come home, telling her that Cindy and David were abusing her.
Oh, that poor little thing.
She was returned to Washington and was later put into foster care.
Oh, my God.
Over the past couple months, Cindy was trained carefully by David to help him kidnap, torture women, and she was beyond thrilled when he first showed her the toy box.
The toy box.
It made her read an 18-point list of instructions, which were posted on the left wall of the toy box. Give me 2 seconds.
You have a picture of this?
Give me 2 seconds. I have the motherfucking list, bitch!
Oh, fuck me. Running uphill and sideways. Of course you have the list.
All right. So,
Okay.
psychological and physical procedures, initial handling of captive personal fetish. Number 1, the new female captive should be gagged and blindfolded with wrists and ankles chained. Number 2, move her into the recreation room. Place her body under the suspension chains.
Okay, excuse me. Where the fuck is the recreation room?
I
Is
don't
that what
know.
you can? I was gonna say, is that what he calls the toy box?
I'm guessing so, but he also calls it the toy box, so I'm not really sure.
Maybe he's got another room that we don't know of.
Maybe. Number 3, stand her up under the chains and lock her wrists well above her head. Number 4, place the neck chain around her neck and lock it into place. It is permanent. Number 5, clip her leg irons to the floor chain.
Okay, I'm just going on the thought that that doesn't sound like the toy box, considering the pictures I've seen. He's got to have another room.
Number 6, use scissors to slowly remove her dress, blouse, or sweater. Cut and remove the bra. Number 7, fondle and abuse her breasts, nipples, and other body parts. Number 8, keep her blindfolded to increase disorientation using verbal abuse as well, such as dumb bitch, slut, etc. Number 9, slowly unzip Open and remove the lower clothing. Cut or rip the panties off. Number 10, fondle and abuse her sexual organs. Continue the verbal abuse. Number 11, attach the overhead suspension straps to her body, ankles, wrists, hips, and upper chest. Number 12, remove the leg irons and tighten the ankle straps, pulling her legs upwards until the middle part of her body is horizontal. The ankle straps will force her legs wide apart.
So this is the suspension thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did have that going in the toy box, so maybe that damn table just gets out of the way when he doesn't need it.
Maybe. Number 13, tighten and adjust the waist, hip, and chest straps until the middle of her body is straight. Clip the short 4 chain to the bottom ring on the waist belt so she cannot jerk or lift her body upwards. Number 14. At this point, the captive is suspended at a convenient height, immobilized and fully exposed. She is uncomfortable, disoriented, and probably terrified. Don't cut her any slack. Continue the verbal and physical abuse. Keep her mentally off balance. Number 15. Play with her sexual organs. Rape her vagina and anus. Force large dildos deep into both holes. Use clamps, needles, and other devices on her tits and sex organs. Clip and cut lips. Wipe her and use electroshock.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, these people.
Number 16. Don't give her any time to collect her thoughts. Use her body aggressively during the first hour or two. She will sweat, struggle a lot, and exhaust herself, particularly if the electroshock machine is used extensively. Number 17, incite fear in her. Tell her how she is going to be kept as a sex slave. Describe in detail how she will be continuously raped and tortured. Work on her mind as well as her body. Number 18, keep her body suspended 2 or 3 hours. Then lower the gynecological bench directly beneath her. Lower her body onto the bench, release one arm or a leg at a time, and secure it to the bench until she is strapped down.
Well, that answers that question. It's the toy box.
Mm-hmm. Buckle all the straps on her body until she is completely immobilized. Feet in stirrups and knees forced wide apart. Note, the shock value of disorientation plus continuous verbal and physical abuse during the first few hours of confinement will have great influence on how docile and subdued the captive will be during the remaining period of the captivity. If it is done properly, she will be intimidated and much easier to handle.
Yeah.
After Cindy finished reading these points, David told her that they would soon kidnap a woman together and they would experience the thrills and rush of torture.
I'd like to experience the thrills and rush of his torture.
Angelica was born in 1972. She was a tall, skinny Hispanic woman who came from a broken home and had little schooling. By the time she was a teenager, she was already soliciting sex work on Central Avenue to finance her growing drug dependency. She had been arrested multiple times for illicit sex work and drug use. By 1998, Angelica had moved to Truth or Consequences after coming out of rehab and deciding that she wanted to clean up her life. And she met a young man who we'll call Peter and had a stable job working at the local hospital. She became pregnant at some point and gave birth to a baby boy, and then began struggling to survive on welfare after being classified as legally blind in one of her eyes after an incident.
Aww.
Soon after arriving at Truth or Consequences, originally, Angelica met Cindy, and Cindy became Angelica's confidant. However, deep down, neither of the women particularly got along well or trusted each other.
What the fuck are you hanging with her then, Angelica?
It was thought that the two stayed friends due to their shared passion for hard jugs, and that Angelica had most likely relapsed at some point.
Oh, no.
Additionally, Angelica had been on David's boat for one of his parties, being the entertainment previously, according to some very shocked and disturbed witnesses who were drug along to the event.
She was the entertainment on his boat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that does not bode well.
On Tuesday, February 16th, 1999, Angelica was visiting a friend when Cindy called and asked to speak with her. They had a conversation at some point, and Angelica brings up that it's her boyfriend Pete's birthday tomorrow and she couldn't afford to buy a cake mix. Sympathetically, Cindy told her, "Don't worry. She had some cake mix. She'd bring it with her to Truth or Consequences district court hearing that her and David would be attending the following morning." So at 10 a.m. on February 17th, Angelica arrived at the courthouse to meet with Cindy, but there was no sign of her. Angelica waited in the parking lot, and several of her friends saw her, and in addition, a policewoman had stopped and chatted with her for a bit. At around 11:30 a.m., David and Cindy appeared and told Angelica to meet them around the corner in a couple minutes. A few moments go by, and they drove up along Angelica with David's small truck hauling a camper.
Oh, hell no.
And Cindy apologized, saying, "Oh my God, we forgot the cake mix." She then suggested they all go
Jump
back to
on
the
in.
residence and collect it.
Oh, yeah.
And that Cindy would drive Angelica back to Truth or Consequences later so she could bake Pete's birthday cake that evening. Angelica remembers this 10-minute ride being quiet and described the two as being awful quiet.
I don't like where this is going.
When they arrived at the property, they told her, "Make yourself comfortable on a white single bed in the corner of the living room." David went outside and returned a short time later. He was holding a large, rusty brown box in one hand and a dagger in the other, putting the knife to Angelica's throat, telling her that she was being abducted against her free will. Angelica would later testify that she didn't know what abducted meant.
Oh.
Initially, Angelica thought the whole thing was just a joke her friends were playing on her, but the seriousness of the situation came crashing down when David punched her in the mouth, and Cindy took out a pistol and pointed it at her head.
Oh.
Angelica then tries to reason with Cindy, asking her what's going on, and Cindy tells her to shut the fuck up, pointing the gun closer to her temple. David left the trailer again and returned a short time later with heavy chains, handcuffs, and began chaining her to the bars on either end of the bed. But first, he put a metal collar around her neck with a padlock and chained it to the wall. He then began to fit a leather mask over her head, telling Angelica that when it was properly secured, no one could hear her scream. Angelica did beg for it to be taken off, and it eventually was because she couldn't breathe. Now totally paralyzed with fear, Angelica played the orientation tape describing exactly what was going to happen to her. When it was finished, Angelica remembers being forced to take an orange pill at gunpoint. She remembers Cindy asking David how many to give her, and David said 1. And shortly after, Angelica lost consciousness. Now, I tried to go find what the fuck this might have been, but I couldn't.
Yeah. I was going to say, it sounds to me like some sort of Debbie Downer type of thing, just to calm her ass
Yeah,
down.
that's kind of what I was thinking. Like maybe something that's anti-anxiety and has a histamine attached to it, but I have no idea what this could have been.
Yeah, being orange, who knows?
So Angelica would become conscious again later that evening, and she was blindfolded and wrapped in a sheet, but she could hear them watching television. They gave her another pill before turning off the lights and retiring to the back bedroom for the evening. On Thursday morning, David left for work at around 7 a.m., and Cindy was left to guard Angelica, who was naked and chained to the bed. Cindy asked if she wanted to share a burrito with her, to which Angelica declined, being far too scared to eat, to which I'm also like, bitch, I don't want your fucking burrito.
I'm with you.
Get away from me.
What I want is your ass to let me out of this shit. Thought we were friends.
For the rest of the day, Cindy guarded Angelica while she watched soap operas on the television. By that afternoon, Angelica rattled her chains and started begging Cindy to free her, asking her, open these chains, get the keys, to which Cindy said that David had taken them with him to work. And Angelica called her a liar.
Can't blame her.
This started an argument between the two, which ended with Angelica going quiet very quickly as Cindy began to wave the gun around the room.
Yeah, I would have kept it up. Shoot me, I don't want to deal with this shit especially after hearing that tape. No.
David came home later that evening and spent the rest of the night watching television with Cindy. And Angelica guessed that he was too tired from the day that he had, so they just left her alone, and she pretended to sleep. Over the time that Angelica was held captive, David and Cindy never answered the phone, and on few occasions, David would allow Angelica to use the restroom, leading her to the portable toilet by the chain metal collar. One night, as the two settled down to watch Stephen King's Storm of the Century, Cindy left to buy some groceries, leaving Angelica and David alone. Angelica remembered later that she was crying and asked David, can you please come over here, give me a hug, and tell me everything's going to be all right?
No.
To which, shockingly, David complied, coming over to the bed, hugging her, and telling Angelica that everything was going to be all right and nothing bad was going to happen to her.
I don't know. The dude never came across as being a liar, so...
Once the movie had finished, David and Cindy began discussing killing Mila and her little boy, and then taking her 10-year-old daughter to train and use as their sex slave.
Fucker.
The two also discussed a man who had been shot inside David's trailer and how it was messy, with there being blood spatter all over the place.
In the toy box trailer?
In the home, presumably.
In the home. Oh.
Detectives would presume later that David was referring to the murder of Billy Ray Bowers.
Oh, his old partner?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
Friday morning, almost 48 hours after Angelica's abduction, she was pretending to be asleep as David and Cindy kissed goodbye and he went to work. Angelica notes how it was like nothing bothers them. Hugs, kisses, like, hello, there's a crime happening here.
Well, again, they really don't give two shits, so... But my thing is they have not done anything sexual to her?
I'm presuming they have, but it just hasn't been brought up yet.
Okay.
Or it's minimal enough that it's not huge.
I'm just going... They're treating her a lot better than they did other women. What the actual fuck?
Similar to the previous day, Cindy had made some food and settled down to watch soap operas, not saying a word to her captive. But by that afternoon, Angelica asked if she was going to die, and Cindy coldly responded, "No, nothing will happen to you." David came home at 5:30 p.m. that night, took a shower, came into the living room with Cindy, who was holding Angelica at gunpoint, and informed her she'd be going to the toy box.
Oh, here we go.
David then led Angelica to the bathroom by the chain attached to the collar around her neck, gave her a bath, reportedly stating that he liked his victims clean.
Well, and that's special.
After drying Angelica off, Cindy applied makeup to her face and said that she needed to look her best for the video and that she would be the star.
Oh, God.
Once David was satisfied with the makeup, a bathrobe was draped over Angelica and she was led out of the toy box by the metal collar under the cover of darkness. Once inside, David locked the door and Cindy began loading up the video recorder with a fresh tape as David blindfolded Angelica with a bandana and taped her mouth over with duct tape. Without warning, Angelica was hit by David in the stomach, forcing her back into the chair, as he inserted a wooden device into her rectum and left it there for 15 minutes while he took his pants off. David forced her arms wide apart and legs as far as they could go. Metal alligator clips were attached to her chest and genitalia, and they began sending electrical current through them into her body. With the duct tape over Angelica's mouth, preventing her from screaming, they did this until they wore out the generator.
That poor woman. Oh my God.
Now, when the generator wore out, they switched to using stun guns and cattle prods, and in addition, they started using the pulley system in the toy box. This carried on for about an hour before David told Cindy to stop, as the last part of Stephen King's Storm of the Century was going to be on soon, and he didn't want to miss it. The two led Angelica back into the trailer, where she was forced to give David a blowjob. Angelica recalls he didn't have a hard-on. He had to put something on, like a rubber band, to get it hard. I made sure to give him the best damn blowjob I could ever give because I wanted him to like me. And that helped. He liked me a lot.
Oh, I would have bit that motherfucker off. But that's just me.
Traumatized and trying to survive, she pretended to like the experience to hopefully entice David and Cindy into letting her go. After this, Angelica asked when David planned on letting her go, and he told her that she could leave the following morning, assuring her that he'd give her a shot and she wouldn't remember a thing. David even let Angelica call a friend to arrange bus fare to Albuquerque, and softened, saying he liked her as a person, and if he had known her better before, he wouldn't have taken her.
There goes to the question that I said that the one little gal maybe called her mother ahead of time. If he let this one call...
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe something else was going on there. Especially when it's discussed heavily that he watched her make the phone call, but she was allowed to make a phone call.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, okay, anyways.
On Saturday morning, David got up early and unlocked the handcuffs and collar from Angelica, who had been chained up for 4 days. She was terribly sore and had sustained burns from the electric shock that she endured. David made her a cup of coffee, let her get dressed, and asked her to come over to the bed and give him a hug, where Angelica recalls him reassuring her again, saying, "Don't worry, nothing's going to happen to you." Angelica was playing the part of being their friends and says, "It's good that I did play head games with him and get him on my side. If I would have fought them and started acting like a bitch, I think I would have died."
Good. She's strong. I got to give it to her. She was strong.
David and Cindy drove Angelica to a bus stop by the northbound exit of I-25. She told the two of them how she loved the experience and would like to do it again someday, but just not as their victim. David and Cindy leave, and Angelica starts walking down I-25.
So he didn't even drug her?
I'm not sure, because it's not stated that she was or not.
I was going to say, if she said goodbye to him, he just let her go.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Around midday, an officer was driving northbound on I-25 when he spotted Angelica on the side of the freeway, frantically trying to flag down a vehicle. He pulled off to the side of the road and asked if she was all right. Angelica said she needed to get out of there, and the officer offered to drive her to Albuquerque. During the first 10 minutes of the ride, it was quiet. Then Angelica lit a cigarette before turning to him and saying, "If I told you something, you're not going to believe me." The officer said he'd make up his mind for himself, and Angelica told him about her 4-day ordeal with Cindy and David.
So she was not drugged. They just let her go.
Mm-hmm.
Big mistake, but okay.
Skeptical of her story, the officer asks
of course.
for the circumstances of how this all happened. And Angelica told him a different story than what she would later testify to when re-questioned, saying that she'd been up partying with her friend Cindy and that the two had made it back to David's trailer, confiding that It may have had something to do with a bad drug deal, adding that she hadn't ate since her abduction. So she's kind of all over the place still.
Little woozy, probably, yes.
The officer found her story so bizarre that he decided not to believe her telling it.
Not.
And he said, like, hey, if this is real and you're telling me the truth, you need to go make a police report. But if you're making it up, you're going to be charged with making a false report.
That's the sad thing, is if he doesn't believe her, who else is going to believe her? Yeah.
So, on March 15th, Cindy and David got engaged.
Oh, how romantic.
And on March 20th, they sent off to Albuquerque in the white Toyota pickup truck and camper in tow to kidnap who would be their last victim, Cynthia Vigil Jaramillo.
The strongest woman I've ever heard of.
Yes, and I'm going to direct you guys to go listen to True Consequences podcast, episode 5, if you do want to hear about Cynthia's extraordinary and harrowing survival from her own perspective. We won't be talking on her because she's kindly asked publicly for people not to share her story without her permission.
And if she ever gives permission, you'll listen to that one because we'll re-update it.
Exactly.
It's worth it. It is really, really worth it.
Now, we're going to touch on a couple things that are going on. There's a 911 hang-up call at Bass Road, and then there's another 911 call that follows shortly after, a couple blocks away, at another residence where Cynthia is hiding at after she escapes. So, David Elston, a undersheriff with Sierra County, was the first individual to show up on the scene for the 911 hang-up call at Bass Road. And he immediately recognizes the address as David Parker Ray's and his girlfriend, Cindy Hindi. Elston does mention that there appeared to have been a struggle, however, nobody was inside the residence, and over the radio he hears about Cynthia being transferred to the hospital and they're getting ready to cut a chain off her neck. Elston also was notified at the time that David had left the state parks and was now somewhere in the area. So he leaves the residence and he's going to go intercept him and stop him from leaving. Cindy was taken in by another set of officers for questioning. So within hours to a day following, the Federal Bureau of Investigation was called to Elephant Butte to secure the property and process the scene. They note that within the house was terrifying, but the toy box shocked seasoned investigators.
As it should have.
It had everything a person would need to inflict torture, hold somebody captive, and kill a person. Mm-hmm. This made investigators wonder how many victims are actually out there.
Oh, I think there's a bunch more than you hear about.
Mm-hmm. Interviews with David had the FBI believing that David was describing fantasies, that they were actual crimes that had happened. But David wouldn't say they're crimes. He's just oh, this is just my fantasy. He's boasting about it.
This is what I dream of doing. That's why I built this thing for, was just to act up fantasies. And my girlfriend, my lady friend, as he says, was the one that I was doing it to. Yeah.
Yeah. And over the time that these interviews are going on and evidence is being collected, many people came forward to the Federal Bureau to discuss people that they had known that had vanished while with David Parker Ray.
Oh, good. Well, that's a plus.
With this, the Behavioral Science Unit believed that David was responsible for at least 45 to 60 murders.
Holy shitballs.
David, though, insisted that this was fantasy and was not admitting to murdering any women. With that, the FBI sets out to try to find a body. They used search dogs around the property, and they spent hours combing over inch by inch of the property at Elephant Butte, as well as other properties that he had lived at throughout the United States.
Well, I gotta give him credit for being maybe a little bit smarter than that. He's not gonna shit where he lives.
Mm-hmm. So, while they're going over the property, no bodies are found at the residence. Eventually, the FBI come across a videotape that showed an individual in the toy box. She was completely nude, and David was touching her in various ways. Investigators analyzed this video, noticing that the young woman had a tattoo on her right calf of a swan. and they started broadcasting it. Not the full video, but just the picture
Just
of the swan tattoo.
Yeah. Okay.
To which a woman calls in to say that's her by the name of Kelly.
Oh, I got back to Kelly, that poor little thing.
So she had never reported the ordeal because she thought the whole thing was just this insane nightmare.
Right.
It wasn't until investigators talked to her in 1999 that the memories started coming flooding back and she realized this was real.
Oh my God.
With Kelly's memories coming back, she was able to give details regarding how she had gotten there that night and what happened upon arriving at David's residence. So the FBI went and arrested one Jessie Ray as an accomplice to her father's crimes.
Good. Fucking bitch.
Now, Cindy, under duress from the police officers, quickly folded.
Good. Like a cheap deck of cards she is.
And gave the names of accomplices, Jesse and Roy. Mm-hmm. So, Roy gets arrested.
Good. Piece of shit.
She also mentioned how at least one of the vicious attacks ended in murder, saying that she knew of several bodies that David had disposed of, and some of which were buried and others were put into the lake.
Yeah, there's a surprise, no.
In the residence, there was an elaborate map of Elephant Butte Lake with X's present in some locations. FBI presume that this is possibly where he would have disposed of bodies. The FBI spent weeks looking for remains in Elephant Butte Lake and following up on leads as they came in, but unfortunately, they were unable to link him to any murders, including that of Billy Ray Bowers, as there wasn't enough physical evidence to tie David to the crime. It's just circumstantial. When it came down to the trial, Cindy stated that she would not testify against David, and it made it critical that Cynthia, Kelly, and Angelica testify about their survivals. Now, at some point during all this, Cindy does take a plea deal, and she does testify against David.
I gotta say good, but I also say fuck her, let her fucking rot in prison and die a crippling, horrific death.
So the jury was selected for David Parker Ray's trial, and it began on May 23rd of 2000 in Tierra Amarilla, New Mexico. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. The trial would solely focus on Kelly's 1996 kidnapping and torture of the first of 3 scheduled trials.
Okay.
Video evidence of Kelly's torture was presented in the courtroom, and the jury, as well as the judge, viewed the tape. On July 11th at 10 a.m., the state rested its case, and so did the defense. There was not a single witness called on behalf of David Parker Ray, and the jury deliberated to decide his fate. On July 12th, 7 weeks after the initial court had began, it was ended with a hung jury.
Are you fucking kidding me? They watched the fucking tape.
They watched the tape, but multiple people that were on the jury stated that they weren't sure of her story as it was very dramatic and discombobulated. They weren't sure she was telling the truth.
It's on the goddamn tape. Why the fuck? Oh my fucking God.
So on Monday, April 9th of 2001, a retrial began in a small courthouse in Estancia, New Mexico.
Sure, go for that.
Just a couple of miles away from Mountain Air, with the defense accusing Kelly of being a willing participant in David's sex games and describing her as a troubled person who enjoyed kinky sex. That was their opening statement. They just blunt force attacked her.
What a bunch of cunts.
On Monday, exactly 1 week after the trial had began, the state rested its case. At 9:30 p.m., the jury reached a verdict. Guilty.
Thank fucking God! Jesus Christ.
5 minutes after the verdict had been reached, while awaiting transport to Las Lunas, David sat down with KOB TV's Mark Horner to protest his innocence, stating,
"Oh, poor fucking pervert.
I feel raped. I think I've been maliciously prosecuted. We haven't been able to tell our side of the story for a number of reasons and claimed it was consensual. And I just gotta say, fucking get fucked.
Get fucked, you piece of fucking shit. Yeah, because it was consensual with this fucking torture devices and this tape that tells you that you have... Seriously, they can't even listen to the goddamn fucking tape that he had, that he presented to each of his fucking victims as evidence.
Oh, they listened to it. They listened to it.
Yeah, but they didn't believe it. They didn't believe it. Oh, he made it. Oh, he was teasing. Get fucked. I need a drink.
The second trial was scheduled for June of 2001, and on Monday, June 11th, the trial started regarding the torture and rape of Cynthia Vigil. David took a plea deal during this case that he would admit to first and second degree kidnapping charges on Cynthia, along with criminal sexual penetration and a second degree charge for conspiracy to kidnap with Cindy. As part of this deal, Jessie Ray would be freed on probation.
Fuck her! Fuck her! No fucking way. You know that bitch was involved in way more. Fuck her. Fuck them all. Fuck them all.
But would still stand trial for the 12 charges of kidnapping and sexual assault a year later. Carefully weighing his options and knowing that he would never leave prison alive, he agreed to the plea deal on Monday, July 2nd.
Pussy.
David was charged for the sexual assault and torture of Cynthia and Kelly, and unfortunately, Angelica had passed away before her court proceedings could take place.
Oh.
David was sentenced to 224 years in prison.
Not enough.
Jessie received a sentence of 9 years and was suspended 6 of those years in the plea deal, and after serving nearly 2 years of jail time while waiting proceedings, was released on Monday, September 17th, 2001.
You have got to be shitting me.
Cindy was given 36 years in prison and served only 18 years before she was released for the plea deal she made to testify against David Ray. Cindy was released on July 15th of 2019.
Oh, so she's recently out. Mm-hmm. What if they have an updated picture of her ass?
Roy confessed to the murder of Marie 7 years earlier after being shown pictures that were being taken while he strangled her, and was convicted of the murder, tampering with evidence, and a conspiracy to commit the crime, with his sentence being 30 years.
And they didn't get conspiracy to murder on those charges?
They weren't in any of the photos. It's just him.
It's in his toy box. It's on his
But they're not
property.
In either of the photos.
Oh, kiss my ass.
He was paroled after serving 11 years, but 3 months into his release in 2011, he violated his parole and was sent back until 2001. I did some digging, and unfortunately, I cannot find if he has been released yet as of today or not.
Mm-hmm.
When investigators searched the trailer to uncover evidence of murders, they found diaries written by David Ray detailing the brutal deaths of several women, along with hundreds of pieces of jewelry, clothing, and personal effects believed to belong to his victims. And if you guys have the time, or if you had somebody that went missing while David Parker Ray was active, please go look through those photos and see if you recognize anything, or if somebody you know had an item that is pertaining to that.
Now, why the fuck wasn't that brought up in his goddamn trial? That right there in his own hand shows murder.
I'm presuming that it was brought up in the trial. It doesn't necessarily show murder. It shows that he is a serial offender who's taking trophies.
Yeah, but he documented that he killed people.
It's fantasy. He's proclaiming it's fantasy still. He's not admitting to any murders. Additionally, some of these people aren't being named in these journals for the most part.
Well, yeah, that was my one question that I asked you. I think it was last time when we were recording.
It was the first time. He's not naming anyone in the journals. So he's just playing it off as being a elaborate fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Both
Sure.
Cindy and Roy identified areas they believe that David disposed of bodies at. However, no remains were ever located. In a KRQE interview in 2014, it was discussed that David allegedly told people that the thing to do is cut them up the belly, scoop out their guts, fill the chest cavity with cement weights and baling wire, wrap them up, and send them to the bottom of the lake.
Sounds like he's done this a few times before.
Well, even Elena mentions this, but when decomposition happens, because it still happens underwater,
Right.
there's gases that build up. Those gases are going to send you floating back up.
Right, but if it's weighted down and it goes down back first.
You get rid of anything that can produce that gas or lock it in during that bloating stage. And
They're
you
not coming back
weigh
up.
it down, and then you make sure that you like wrap it with chicken wire or baling wire. There's no way for it to come back up.
It's a sick, fucking, twisted way that he knows this, and it sounds like a practiced art form.
Well, he was all over Elephant Butte, so I mean, I presume he had done this previously, and then he's going through possibly doing his own recreational stuff on the lake on his boat, and he's like, oh, body came back up. What the hell is that about?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It sounds to me like this is a practiced form that he's very used to doing. It sounds very perfunctory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, David did come forward and say that he was ready to talk, but unfortunately, he died of a heart attack at the Lee County Correctional Facility just a few hours after being transported to undergo further questioning by New Mexico State Police in May of 2002, after only having about 8 months of sentencing.
That piece of shit, man.
So it's very important to mention that Cynthia Vigil is the absolute hero of the story.
She is my hero.
She is my hero. I do highly advise go listen to True Consequences coverage with her. She talks about everything that happened, how she escaped, and what it was like for her. Honest to God, go listen to it. It's
fucking
incredible. But I also want to mention that Cynthia is the founder of Safe Street, New Mexico, which she started in 2009. Which
good for her.
Is to help young women who are living on the streets and those who have been raped, trafficked, and attacked in Albuquerque.
I'd say get a good GoFundMe for her, or if you want to make a donation, link that shit in the bio.
So if you go to Safe Streets, New Mexico, and I will link this in the bio, there is a link that takes you to her site where if you do want to make a donation to Safe Streets or to her personally, you can.
Yay, Cynthia.
All right. Well, that is the end of the Toy Box Killer.
Please don't put me through that shit again. I think the worst
you wanted a bad one?
No, granted, it was brutal fucking full frontal brutality, but it was the hurry up and wait. Ooh, I've got it. Nope, we got to hold on. That was you.
I know that was me. I'm sorry.
But
to be fair, I'm also over here screaming every 2 seconds because I'm reading book after book after book on this and then watching documentaries and then going and digging myself and then reading through. If you want a very heavy read and like all the information right away, the FBI vaults for David Parker Ray include all the interviews and any of the news articles that were going on around that time. So it's very in-depth. But it's over 600 pages long.
Yeah.
And I'm dyslexic as fuck.
We had started this back when we started the Cynthia Vigil recording, and we were supposed to, we were waiting to see if we'd get anything, and it's like, okay, well, in the next 2 days after I edit this, we'll do part 1, 2, whatever it is, and we'll do his and all. And I get this phone call. Shit ain't happening, Mom. I just found this. A couple days later, shit ain't happening, Mom. I found this. And then that motherfucker did this. And I'm like, oh my freaking God. I just want to get this over and done with because my brain is going to explode.
And I tried to grab as much as I could and dig as deep as I could. But I am guaranteeing there's still stuff that I fucking missed.
Mm-hmm. There's always got to be more. So, with that being said, might have an update later on. Never know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay, well, I'm ready to go home and partake of some whiskey because moonshine just does not do it for me. But, holy crappers, this was a roller coaster ride from hell that I really don't want to repeat, but I'm sure I'm going to have to buckle up for another episode soon.
Well, you wanted Israel Keys, didn't you?
Oh, I do want him because, yeah, I'm with you. He's very fascinating. There's a lot of shit on him that needs a deeper dive.
That's not saying Israel's coming next. Just to fucking clarify.
God, no, God, no, please, no.
I don't have it in me to do another serial killer right now.
Plus, I'm going out of town for a while, and I think other stuff needs to come up first. Mm-hmm. What do we have on the docket?
So, coming up, we should have some missing persons cases and possibly some unsolved murders. So, if you're in for the ride, welcome in. It won't be as heavy as this.
Oh, thank God.
Hopefully.
I'm just usually never short for words, but...
There's nothing I could say about this motherfucker.
I know. There is sometimes I'm just sitting here going... and it's... Oh, my God. Just the horrific images. And, yeah, listen to the goddamn tape and think we're exaggerating what this motherfucker was capable of.
I don't advise listening to the tape.
I don't either, but, you know... If you do, make sure you have some fortification with you.
Mm-hmm. Or at least have something to go desensitize yourself with later.
Yeah, because... And Disney movies didn't work for me. I ended up having to go, I wanted to go to the shooting range, but it was too late to do that, so, yeah.
I mean, I'm over here, I'm like, I'm gonna go smoke a bowl and we're gonna hope for the best.
And by smoke a bowl, she isn't talking drugs.
No, I don't partake in the marijuana. I'm talking. I've wired up my hookah. I'm like, I'm gonna sit here and pretend that I did not just hear that. I listened to it twice because I listened to it by myself. Well, actually, I did it more than twice because I also wrote out the transcript for it.
Yes, you did, and you listened to it with me, and you kept looking at me going, "Mom, how are you doing?" I'm like, "I want to kill some motherfucker right now. I'm gonna kill him." I
stayed quiet for the most part, but after you got done, I was like, "Are you okay? Do you want something to drink?
Okay.
Are you all right?"
Far from okay. Far from okay. Far from okay. Yeah. No. All right. He's lived rent-free in our heads for how many months?
Too many. Mm-hmm. Too many. No longer.
Mm-mm. We're done with his ass.
Yepers.
Yep.
So, we'll see you guys next week for a missing persons case. Thank you again for listening to Spattered. Please make sure to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram at Spattered Podcast and on X at Spattered Pod. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you're watching on YouTube, like this video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to be notified when the show goes live or drops a video. As always, if you have a case request, any questions, or are interested in sponsoring the show, please email me at spatteredpodcast@gmail.com. Spattered is a true crime podcast hosted by Caitlin Gardner and Sarah Ray. The research and edits for this episode were done by Caitlin Gardner. All the music for the show was done by Lucio Cardenas. We'll see you next time. Stay safe out there. And remember, the truth is always in the blood.